So the R5 1400 has been released into the wild, and there is currently some mining craze going where all the AMD graphics cards are sold out. So today we're doing a PC with a 4-core CPU with 8 threads and also a GTX 1060. Welcome back to Tech Yes City. This is Brian coming to you guys today with a $744 US PC, or if you're in Australia, $1,063. And today I thought there would be some compromises. I really did. We were sort of saving money on the case and the power supply, but when I started putting this PC all together and started overclocking it, I was surprised. I was really shocked. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Though for now, we'll take a look at the prices of the parts, we'll do the build, and then we'll do the benchmarks.
When you can't find the snips, you just go man mode on this shit.
So before we move on to the benchmarks, overclocking this thing was surprisingly good. I was using the cheapest B350 motherboard I could find. I was also using a Deepcool Gamax, which is a relatively budget lineup of CPU coolers. And then of course, we were using a budget case, which didn't have that good of airflow. And then we're using a budget power supply. So like, there was 4 components here that were really cheap, and we got a really good overclock. 4 gigahertz on the CPU, completely stable. And the temperatures were still pretty good. Now the Cougar MX200, I was really shocked by this. The temperatures were pretty low because it had 2 included fans, and they actually worked pretty well. So with that said, the overclock's 4 gigahertz on the CPU, and we also got the GPU up to 2.15 gigahertz. So who said budget parts can't rock this hard? Memory as well, I didn't touch on it with the last Ryzen build that I did, but this time we have 2133 megahertz memory, and we've overclocked it to 2666 effective. So that is a really decent overclock on the AM4 platform, and really anything above these speeds won't net you really much of a performance gain, especially for the money with something like a GTX 1060 or an RX 580, though I will be doing my own comparison in a video with apples to test it for you guys. So there it is, guys. As always, the benchmarks do the talking. We had GTA 5 1080p high settings, over 120 FPS on average with this build. Completely shocked. Then we had CSGO on this brand new map. We were scoring over 220 average FPS. And then we move on to Overwatch. I think we we're capping in at 180 FPS on that game. And then when we moved over to Players Unknown, which is a new game and it's not released, it won't be released for a few months, but we were getting 60 to 70 FPS at 1080p high. Now I did set this to Ultra and it ran like complete ass, so I don't recommend running this game at Ultra at the moment. I will be doing some more tests. Of course, it is still a beta, so wait for some more updates to roll through. But the game was honestly a lot of fun. I was really surprised at how much this game offered. You're dropping like 70 plus people into a battlefield and you've got to be the #1 survivor. So that was a really cool game that's currently around about $30 on Steam at the moment. And then we look at Fallout 4, we were getting ultra settings, 60 FPS just capped there. You don't really want to break the VSync on this game or go over 60 FPS as it will actually break the game engine itself. And lastly, on those synthetic benchmarks, we had Cinebench scoring 855 CB, and the GPU score on Firestrike was over 15,000, which on a GTX 1060 is really good. However, I will be comparing this CPU to the 7700K with mid-range graphics cards to see how much of a difference there are for you guys who want to save some money. I think it's a really good option to see how the R5 1400, I know it's not as good as the 7700K, but I believe it's a lot better value for money. So I want to test them head to head with mid-range graphics cards and see how they perform. And now we'll move on to the case, the MX200, and also those other budget parts. Now, as always, I don't recommend doing what I do when I hack things up, but if you're adventurous and you want to save some money, then you can hack the case up to fit a bigger graphics card, or alternatively, I would recommend getting a smaller graphics card. And with that, I also wanted to talk about the prices of GTX 1060s at the moment. They're like $250 plus for a 6GB edition, so they're actually more expensive at the moment, and of course the RX 570s and 580s are all sold out. So if you guys are into saving money, which I know a lot of you guys are, then I'd recommend probably getting like a 1050 Ti at the moment, which are going for like $138 or something, saving your money for now and then upgrading to a better graphics card in the future when the prices aren't so bad. And also on that note, with the R5 1400, I was taking a look at that because we had to add the CPU cooler on there. And I was thinking, well, if you have the extra money, I think it costs an extra $40 or so, I'd recommend getting an R5 1600. So you're getting a 6-core, 12-threaded beast, you're getting more level 3 cache on board, and you're also getting a better cooler than the R5 1400. So those would be my two recommendations personally if I had to change things in this build at the moment. Though when it comes down to it all, those budget parts really impressed me. The Deepcool Gamax 400 that handled this CPU at 4 GHz stable, and it wasn't even getting warm to touch. So really good cooler. The ASUS B350, that did really well too. Getting a 4 GHz overclock again, doing it at stable temperatures. I think this CPU only managed to juice around 60 watts directly, and the whole build on that note only managed to juice around 250 watts from the wall. So we had that 500 watt included Cougar power supply, but I'm told it's actually a very decent power supply. And on that note, I wouldn't recommend going with anything cheaper than this Cougar 500 watt power supply. It seems to be the equivalent of, say, an EVGA 430 watt power supply, which for this build is really good. And then lastly, we had the case, which we've already talked about, but it did extremely well. Those two fans included, and of course the Deepcool Gamax fan, made airflow really good on this case. I was blown away by how good the airflow was, and of course those speed holes in the side of the case actually helped with airflow too, I believe, as everything was really not getting hot at all in this build. So in the end, I think budget parts can perform pretty well if you piece them all together and have the right synergy. And also, we'll be making another video comparing the more expensive parts versus the cheaper parts with the R5 1400 to see how much extra performance you get out of, for instance, spending extra money on a more expensive power supply, more expensive cooler, more expensive case, and more expensive motherboard. So I look forward to giving you guys that video too. And if you like this video as always, then be sure to hit that like button, and I will catch you in the next tech episode, because I said video too many times. And I'll catch you in another tech video very soon. Peace out for now. Bye.